another New Orleans Pelicans premier basketball podcast. We got Cal and Jay here. What's going on, Jay?
What's up?
Hey, thanks for the hype intro again, man. I know I can always count on you for that. We got a really great podcast today. It's going to be breaking down the off-season moves for all 30 NBA teams and ranking grades based on the A to F scale, including the Pelicans, but they're going to be later in the pod, so stick with us. It's going to be really fun. You know, there's been a lot of moves this offseason. It's been a great offseason, and we're going to help break it down here and, give our opinions. We're each going to give a grade, so there's going to be 2 for each team based on how we feel they perform given the options they had available, and including draft picks, too.
Yeah, a lot of big moves this summer, so we got a lot to dive into.
Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to go east to west based on playoff ranking order of last year. So starting off, we're going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I have them at an A-. I really like re-signing Brook Lopez, top 3 center in the game right now. They let Brogdon go, and that's going to be a mild hit, but he's not really a superstar talent. He was a really good system player, played well, but I think you can replace that production with the signing of Wesley Matthews, and, they still have a pretty good guard rotation in Hill and Bledsoe. Although I don't love Bledsoe's contract, and I wish he had played better last playoffs. But, I think they're going to be similar level to last year. And I like the Robin Lopez signing off the bench, too, because they lacked bench depth last year at the center position. So that's going to be nice. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
I'm kind of where you're at. I kind of got them around an A-. I think they kind of just are doing the whole comeback reloaded. Same roster, they're running it back. They think this year is going to be their year. Kawhi's out of the East, so I think Kawhi's out of the East now, so really it's anyone's cup for the taking. A-, signing Wesley Matthews, I'm not a huge fan of. I was never really a big fan of him when he was on Dallas.
ACL tear, or Achilles tear it was.
Yeah, I just was never that big of a fan of him. He doesn't seem that clutch. So maybe I'll give him a B+, thinking about that. I don't think they're going to rely too heavily on him, so it's not a huge issue, but I was never really a huge fan of him. I do think trading away Malcolm Brogdon is actually a good thing. If you watched him in the playoffs, I wasn't a huge fan of his game.
Yeah, he didn't play great. He was a little injured, but he wasn't
Yeah,
great.
Definitely one of those guys where when he has the ball and you're cheering against him, you're hoping he does something with it. You don't want him giving it off to like Brook to actually do something with the ball.
Yeah, Brook is dangerous, that's for sure. Now, one thing I will say, and the reason I don't have them winning the championship next year, is I tried on Giannis Antetokounmpo's new Nike's shoe, and I know you're going to hear that.
You're always plugging your shoe.
I'm sorry, it's not about the shoe reviews this time. I literally tried them on. It's got no cushioning, no padding. His legs.
Sneakerhead Cal over
if
here.
he doesn't get injured, his legs are going to be dead by the playoff time in those shoes, man. You need some cushioning for an 82
I guess if there's
season.
Someone who knows shoes,
and I'm not
kidding
you, he's going to have a bad season compared to last year's MVP season in these new shoes. They are awful. And they have no traction. He's going to struggle if he continues wearing those Giannis freak ones. I mean, you cannot play in those. Unplayable. So I think Bucks are gonna take a step back seriously just because of that shoe, his signature shoe line that just got released.
You are too much, Cal. You are too much.
All right, I'm just telling you, as a sneakerhead, it's gonna make a difference.
Okay.
All right, stay tuned. But anyway, on to Toronto.
So you had a A-, I have a B+, but we both kind of agree. Kind of solid. It's still gonna be a solid roster. They didn't really need to do too much.
I think probably still an Eastern Conference Finals team.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, on to Toronto. I had these guys, probably in the D range. I'm going to give them a D because it's not necessarily their fault that they lost Kawhi and Danny Green. I mean, it was bound to happen. Kawhi was dead set on returning home to LA. And, so they really couldn't have prevented it. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with going all in on re-signing him and waiting to sign free agents. But they really missed out on any key additions this offseason. They added Stanley Johnson and Hollis Jefferson. And, that's just not going to get it done. I guess, yeah. Who'd they lose? They lost. Yeah, that was it. So just Kawhi and Danny Green. And I just think that's a pretty huge loss given the composition of the roster and how much they counted on those guys in the playoffs. And they didn't really add anybody of value.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I'm gonna actually give them a D-. I'm gonna go a little lower. It's not really their fault, but I don't think we've ever seen this where a championship team drops so drastically.
Well, maybe Dallas Mavericks in 2011.
Yeah, you could say that, but this, it's just they didn't really Kawhi got him. You know,
He
Kawhi,
really-
Kawhi could have at least given him a heads up.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm
He
probably
dropped the
not
bomb
going to
on
come.
him. You dropped the ball.
Really got him good. Definitely, it's kind of you're paying for what you did a year ago. It's not really their fault this year. They knew what they were paying for.
Yeah, it was an all-in last year, and I can't believe it paid off.
It paid off.
You gotta give
it paid
to
off.
them.
You got to give it to them. I think they knew this was coming, and they definitely knew this was a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's pretty soon they're going to be rebuilding within the next year or two. Back into the lottery.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have to average out last year's decisions and this year's decisions, I'd probably give them an A overall. I mean, I know you're gonna have a bad year this year, but for that one chip,
I mean, winning championship's not easy. 30 teams are going for it, and they did it.
Especially for Toronto, it's
in
hard to get
Canada,
anyone
high
out
taxes. Yeah, it's that's true.
Overall, I'll give them that, but this year, yeah, just a huge hit losing him. I mean, re-signing Patrick McCaw though.
That's their big.
That is big. He's 3 in a row. He's the only one that three-peated.
Right. He has never not won a championship in his NBA career, so they could win it. They could run it
maybe
back.
He's just that good luck charm. I don't really know. Kyle Lowry actually kind of impressed me later on in the playoffs. He actually was hitting some bigger shots than I thought he would.
I think losing Kawhi though is gonna, he's gonna have to do more on his shoulders.
Oh,
and
definitely.
He's gonna get exposed a bit.
But as you know, Siakam top 5 player in the league.
Oh my gosh, how did I forget that?
Yeah.
So
it might like.
Okay, I scratched my comments on rebuilding. They will not be rebuilding. Top 5 player in the league.
Yeah, they have a pretty good team.
They're still.
It's just.
Right. I take it back, but still.
It's a D though because they dropped
lost,
pretty hard.
What they lost
because they needed the Kawhi was. Like, it wasn't just he was just a few points.
That was so disrespectful, fans. I'm sorry about the Siakam. Siakam, if you're listening, you're a top 5 player in the league, and I deeply apologize.
Yeah. You can't forget about Siakam. Losing Danny Green, I don't think that's a huge issue. He kind of went really cold in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Van Vliet's kind of your guy, your go-to guy now for the Toronto Raptors. So, I mean, not really a huge issue. But, I mean, now that I think about it, I'm not really...
They're still a playoff team.
They're still a playoff team. I don't think they have the legs to really go all the way.
I don't think they're a championship anymore.
You kind of need that go-to guy, which Van Vliet kind of was for them at the end.
Yeah, but he's not a Kawhi.
He's not a Kawhi, because Van Vliet wasn't getting Kawhi's attention that Kawhi was getting on defense.
Say they're playing the Pelicans in the finals this year. I don't see Van Vliet stopping Lonzo.
Yeah, definitely.
But we'll see what the finals matchup is. It could be LeBron. It could be the Pelicans. Yeah. A lot of possibilities.
Definitely. So D-, but let's move on to the next one. I know we got 30 teams to
go through,
so
we got to speed it up a bit. Sorry, guys. Philadelphia 76ers. They re-signed Tobias Harris to the max. I do not love that deal. I don't think he's that efficient. I don't think his game is that complete. He's not a great defensive player. Kind of a high-volume scorer. I never really loved those kind of players. Al Horford, somewhat questionable fit next to Embiid, but Horford does have some range from 3, so I kind of like that. I think he'll complement Embiid fairly well. And Embiid, in theory, can shoot. He had a tough year shooting last year, but he's shown potential. And then they lost Jimmy Butler and J.J. Redick, along with T.J. McConnell. Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure how good a chemistry fit he was with the team. He seems to have chemistry issues wherever he goes. J.J. Redick, undersized shooting guard. He's with us now. He's probably going to be coming off the bench for us in spot minutes and partially in that coaching role we talked about last podcast. I think he'll be a good veteran presence, but that's not a huge loss at shooting guard. And T.J. McConnell's a good player, so they're going to miss him, but we'll see. They signed Raul Neto from the Utah Jazz, I believe, and he's pretty decent, but not T.J. McConnell level.
Yeah, I'll probably give him around a C. I don't really.
Did I not give him a grade? Sorry, I would give them maybe a C plus.
I'll give him around a C. I mean, I as myself, I'm a huge fan of Jimmy Butler. I don't know how he fit in there. He's kind of a mid-range kind of guy. Like it didn't really work out because they already have so much close to the basket game going on. They kind of needed a little bit different thing going on there. I mean, I've just never been a huge 76ers fan. I don't think they're that good of a team. Ben Simmons doesn't really do it for me. I think extending his contract to that much money wasn't really a great move by them.
I actually don't mind that move. I like Simmons a lot.
I like that he can do some stuff, but for that team, like there's no shooters on that team anymore.
Horford can shoot.
Horford can kind of shoot. I mean,
Harris can shoot.
I don't know if Harris is actually going to be able to shoot with Boban gone. I think Boban kind of they're best buds. It kind of like when you're playing with your boy.
Yeah, your boy.
And when you're playing with your boy, and you start heating up because
and
you're just kind of not stressed out because your boy believes in you.
Yeah, I think Boban was key to his game.
No, I honestly think like that. There's like a mental aspect to playing with your boys when you're comfortable and you're shooting.
Yeah, it's true.
It really adds something.
We'll see
to
if
your
he
game.
has a slump this year.
I think that's why Steph and Clay always had such a good rhythm is because they were all boys on the team, and then
KD
when you're not really worried about it back then, it's a lot easier. As a shooter myself,
I know when you got people that doubt you.
Yeah, when you got doubters on your team, that's never going to help you. But Ben Simmons is all right. I kind of see where you're coming from. I like his size, but with Embiid, I don't think you really need it.
Well, let's think about this. 80% of the game is played within 5 feet of the basket. People forget that. You think it's all jump shots. You don't really need a jump shot to be successful in the NBA.
It's not really that you don't need one. It's just no one even has to guard him. Like, it's to the point where it's like you with your broken hand.
Yeah, that's true. I broke my hand like a year ago.
He's fine now. Just saying.
We played basketball.
We played basketball a lot. Keith.
I played collegiately and professionally for a brief time, but. Jay was a college ref.
Yeah, I used to ref NCAA, but that's kind of besides the point.
Yeah, we're not, this isn't about our credentials. We can get into that more if you guys want to hear a podcast about our basketball history, but we're just breaking down for the New Orleans fans out there. I know this isn't really a New Orleans-centric pod, but, any basketball fan usually loves hearing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but so we'll end on Philly there. I'll give him a C. We'll admit you're higher on Ben Simmons than I am. We'll see how that plays out for him.
Yeah.
I think that's almost like a Westbrook contract.
Don't you dare. That is too far.
I honestly think... Okay, it's not a Westbrook contract.
I'm going to mute your mic. I will mute your mic.
It's not a Westbrook contract.
I swear I will mute your mic.
It's not a Westbrook contract. I'm just saying it's one they're going to want to be trying to trade soon. And they're going to have to package some other players to get rid of that.
All right, fair enough. I don't agree with that at all, for the record. Boston. Pretty wild offseason for Boston. They lost Kyrie Irving, who was kind of a team cancer chemistry-wise. He had good numbers, but did not help the team and was awful in the playoffs. They signed Kemba Walker to replace him, and Kemba's undersized and hasn't had really any success in the playoffs ever, or proven to be a winner on any team. However, I don't think he's a terrible player, having watched quite a few of his games. I think he's, maybe your league average point guard. I think it's a bit of an overpay on the contract. I would have liked him more in the range of like maybe 4 for $80 than a max deal that they gave him. And I think he's undersized and doesn't play great defense, but he does try. I just don't love the Kemba Walker signing. And Enes Kanter as your main big, he's improved since he came into the league defensively and as a scorer. He's not terrible. And I did like some of their draft picks. But overall, I think I'm going to have to give them a C- on the offseason, just because I'm not high on Kemba Walker. I think they'll have a good year next year because I think Hayward's going to be healthier, their best player. He's going to be 2 years removed from that horrific ankle injury. And they also lost Marcus Morris, Terry Rozier, and Al Horford. And those are pretty debilitating losses too. So I do like some of their draft picks, though. Carson Edwards looked pretty good as a heat check guy off the bench in the second round. And Romeo Langford, he's got potential to be a good scorer too. Your thoughts, Jay?
I'm going to give him a D+. Still a little bit lower than you on this one. I've just never been a big fan of Kemba Walker. You remember the Heat Hornets series. I know that's still burned in your brain.
I'm a big fan of Jeremy Lin, for the record. I don't know if he'll be in the league next year because he's had a string of injuries and he's just not quite the same player right now. But in that year, when Lin was in Charlotte, they won 48 games. They were tied for the 3rd seed. People give Kemba some credit for that, and I think that might be carrying over into this. But ever since then, Kemba's been a 30-win team in his entire career without Lin. Lin carried that team, and I don't think Kemba's really built for the playoffs based on what I saw in that series. He's too small, and he gets blocked a lot going to the rim in the playoffs when the intensity ratchets up.
Yeah. So my D+ really, it's not really a big deal. I don't think I'm a big fan of Kyrie, but for the Boston Celtics, I don't think losing him was a big deal. He kind of was one of those toxic environment kind of people where you don't want him in there.
You do love Kyrie, though.
I do love his game. I respect his craft, but I think as a leader, he's just not quite there yet.
No.
Kind of team morale, he really brings you down.
Yeah.
So getting him gone and kind of leaving it up to Gordon to kind of carry the team, I like that by Danny Ainge. I think that was a smart decision.
I agree with that.
But signing Kemba to kind of replace Kyrie and Rozier, I think you really kind of fall off at that guard spot.
I do worry about that, and that's why I have him as a C minus.
I've always been a big fan of Rozier. I think he's got that dog in him, and he's just got that fight, and I love it.
Last year he was a bit of a team cancer himself because he was playing for his contract.
Well, it's tough when you're playing behind Kyrie Irving, and you think that you deserve a starting spot.
Yeah,
I get it. He's hungry. He wants that.
He does have that dog, and especially this year on a guaranteed contract now.
With how well he played in the playoffs the year before, I understand why it'd be frustrating coming off the bench when it's so clearly that Kyrie wasn't working for this team.
Mm-hmm.
You saw them when it was like when you had Tatum and you had Hayward and you had Horford and Rozier in. Whole different lineup. Like they
did play well.
They played so well together. So I could see why he'd be really angry and kind of just say, I'm doing this for myself now. I think that's kind of on Brad Stevens a bit for kind of letting things get out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll give it a D+, but for sake of time, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, we got Indiana.
Indiana, what are your thoughts, Cal?
Indiana's a tough one because, I kind of like their main, core of their team. I really like Oladipo. They didn't make any huge splashes this year. I guess Malcolm Brogdon's a bit of a semi-splash. He's a good, solid system player. But and I guess I like TJ McConnell too, but they didn't sign any superstars. I'd probably give them like around a C just for, a pretty quiet offseason for them. They're going to be running back a similar team. I like some of the core pieces. Oladipo healthy is going to help them a lot. I think they'll be back in the playoffs next year. And I like some pieces on their team. I don't like losing Bojan Bogdanovic. I'm a big fan of his. Good player. Probably about a C. I don't have too much to say on them.
Yeah, Indiana Pacers. I'm never really going to see them as a title contender right now. So I'm going to give them a C. I think I can keep it pretty quick with them. Oladipo, big fan of. I think anyone kind of who was stuck in the shadow of Russell Westbrook has really started to shine.
Absolutely.
Once leaving him. So I no disrespect to Oladipo, but just the whole team, they were young. They were looking good. But when he kind of went down, they were still fine. Still a solid team, but I don't think they're really going to go anywhere. I always kind of have that feeling with those kind of smaller market teams that the refs aren't really going to give you any credit.
They got to earn it. You got to earn it.
And you kind of have to have a really good team to kind of make it out of there. I don't think they're quite at that level yet.
I would agree.
So yeah, it's just a C for me. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay, we got Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Nets. This is a big one.
This is a big one.
I think we might differ here actually, because I actually wasn't too impressed with their offseason additions. I'm not a big Kyrie Irving fan. I don't really love KD on a max with unproven health because of his Achilles tendon. He's not even playing next year. And I do love getting rid of D'Angelo Russell. Amazing move by them not re-signing him. I don't know how they had the clairvoyance to do that. They really upped his trade value and then got him out of town and built this culture. And then, I do like that, but just not a huge fan of KD and Kyrie as a combo. Both of them have pretty volatile personalities. They can really bring a locker room down, as we've seen in both cases. And I wonder how they're going to mix together, especially the year after next and going forward if KD's not the same type of player after the Achilles tear, which very few athletes have come back from as the same player. It's unfortunate, but I just don't know if I love him on a max deal after that injury. You saw Kobe Bryant after that really was atrocious after he tore his Achilles for the rest of his career. And I think we could be seeing, KD's a little taller and he has maybe a better jump shot, so he'll probably adapt a little better than Kobe, but I don't love that combo there, and I don't like Kyrie for near the max. And I also am not a big fan of DeAndre Jordan at this stage of his career. So I'd probably give them like a C-. I know that sounds crazy, probably for most prognosticators on next season, but I don't see the Nets going anywhere, and I honestly don't see them in the playoffs next year.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, Cal. If you think about it, if you would have told me you made this deal in 2016, I would have just A+. Like, that would have been amazing. But now it seems like I kind of agree with you. The Kevin Durant injury, I'm kind of hesitant to see how he's going to come back. With his game, though, as a 7-foot 3-point shooter, I'm hoping he can kind of transition his game to just be a sharpshooter. Never really seen someone who could shoot it like him. If you watch some of his videos of him just working out, he's pretty automatic. We'll see. Sometimes it'll get in your head. if you don't have your legs underneath you. So people say that you could still shoot as a 7-footer, but we'll see. I'll give him a B. I like the Kyrie signing. I know you're not a huge fan of it, but I think Kyrie's going to have more of like a redemption year. He kind of has those mood swings, but I think it happens in seasons. I think he was a really good, if it's a Batman and Robin, once Durant's back.
KD gets back, yeah.
I think he.
Do you think he'll take a back seat to KD after
definitely.
the injury?
I definitely think he will. I think he kind of learned his lesson, like with Hayward, that
he's not a star player.
He's not the go-to guy. Like, he's a really solid secondary guy. You kind of can let him take his shots at the end. But I think the big thing was he didn't fall for, I don't know who was putting out the whole D'Angelo Russell narrative that for some reason
the Warriors fell for it.
They fell for it, but people say he's an all-star. He didn't get voted into the all-star game. I think someone got injured and they placed it. I think it might have been Oladipo getting injured got him into it.
Yeah, and the Eastern Conference was already so sparse. They were just looking for somebody.
And they literally put him in. It was kind of like an honorable mention. They put him in. I just don't get where people are saying this guy's an all-star.
No, he unfortunately was not. He got snubbed from
It's
the
one of
All-Star
those
team,
things where I'd watch their highlights and I'd go, oh, how'd D'Angelo go? And I'd look at this, and they'd win by 30 or something. I'd look, and D'Angelo would be minus 20.
Almost
plus
every
minus.
game,
Almost every game. So I think
I can't wait.
I'm excited. I'm excited for them because I think a lot of the players will have something to prove to show that D'Angelo had nothing to do with their success.
Yeah, but
so I think those
don't
players.
Trust Kyrie.
I think Dinwiddie's going to be pretty hungry. I think. I think it was pretty good.
I also like David Nwaba a lot. Yeah, he's going to be good after this.
I think he agreed to sign with them. I don't know if he's signed yet. We'll see. But yeah, I'm really big fan of David Nwaba. I liked him on the Lakers too when he was there for a bit, and with the Bulls. Kind of followed him around. He's a good player.
Okay,
but let's move on to the next one. Yeah, I give him a B. I give him a B.
A B. Okay. Yeah.
I like the KD signing. I kind of have your injury concerns. I'm a little less concerned, but thinking about Kobe. But again, Kobe wasn't near the player that KD was when he was even healthy before then. So
yeah, he
went from decent to bad. And I think KD's a lot better.
My projection of them missing the playoffs is on the fact that.
You said miss playoffs.
I think they'll miss the playoffs because KD's not playing. I think Kyrie's going to mess up the locker room and the chemistry, just be chucking shots. I think it could be like a combustion. They could go down.
Yeah, it's definitely a tinderbox way to go. Let's definitely get to the next one. So what'd you give him? I give him a B.
I had him at a C-.
Kyle's a little bit harsh on these grades, but
I love the D'Angelo let him go, but I don't really like everything else. Orlando is our next. I guess Orlando, another quiet offseason. I didn't really love re-signing Nikola Vucevic at the dollars they got him at.
You were pretty high on him before the playoffs. I remember you saying, "Oh, he's a great player."
Okay, to be fair, Orlando wasn't high on my league pass rotation, so I hadn't really seen Vucevic. I just looked at the box scores. Seeing him live against Toronto, against Marc Gasol, who's not even that top-notch of a center, was pretty shocking. He was awful in the playoffs. So I really don't even have him near a max player, closer to a mid-level exception kind of guy. And they signed him for the max, so I don't love that. And I guess they signed Al-Farouq Aminu, who's decent, good solid role player. But they're running back the same team that really wasn't that much of a playoff contender in the first place. I don't really love their offseason. I'm going to give them a D.
You're going to give them a D?
Yeah.
On that much just for the Vucevic signing. I'm gonna double down. I'm gonna give him a D also. Now that I look at this, I kind of like Al-Farouq Aminu, but I had said it before the playoffs. I said Orlando's not going anywhere. Vucevic just ball hogs, and he's just not that efficient. So I'm gonna give him a D. And we'll take it from there. Losing Timofey Mozgov, I think they waived him, so it's not really even like they really lost much. But I think their big loss was in re-signing Vucevic. I kind of wanted to see what Aaron Gordon had to do if he kind of was given the reins, but Vucevic is kind of taken over. He always has been. He's kind of ball dominant, and Aaron kind of plays off the ball, and I would want to see because he came.
I like Aaron Gordon.
Aaron was playing well in the playoffs, so I was actually really impressed with him. Really kind of trying to break away from just that reputation of just being that dunk contest guy.
Yeah.
But I think Vucevic is kind of holding them back for now. We'll see. I mean, it's a young team.
I don't love their guard rotation either. I mean,
Their guard rotation is not great. I mean, it's an off-season move from what they have. That's why I would give them an F. Like if I'm just rating their overall team. But I mean, they didn't really have a great team to begin with.
No,
so
they didn't do
it's
anything
not really that
catastrophic.
awful.
Like they didn't sign Mozgov to a max contract. Lakers 5 years ago.
Okay.
So they didn't do anything that awful, but I think a D is about right for them.
Yeah.
Okay, Detroit. Yeah, this is a tough one because they're kind of running back the same team that didn't have a lot of success last year. I don't know. Did they even have any notable?
They had Blake Griffin last year.
I know, but this year did they sign anybody notable off the top of my head?
I think. They had Derrick Rose, but he's post injury.
Yeah, post injury Derrick Rose. Yeah, I can't really say they did anything, so I'm gonna give them like a D for lack of action. They really didn't do a lot. I haven't seen too much of their draft picks. Maybe those guys will turn out to be decent, but I really don't have too much positive to say about their offseason. Been a quiet offseason in Detroit, but it's not really a free agent destination, so it's going to be tough. They got Blake Griffin and running back pretty much the same team minus a couple role pieces, add a few here and there.
Yeah, I'll give them a C. I mean, it's kind of just, again, the Pistons didn't really lose a whole lot, but they didn't gain much either. And it's just kind of like, I look at it, and Blake Griffin, not a huge fan. I'm kind of coming off as a hater on this podcast, but I'm just not a huge fan of a lot of players.
Eastern Conference had a tough season based on
it's just like, it's just they didn't do much. To put it that way,
there's some good Western Conference offseasons.
Definitely excited to discuss that coming up. But I mean, I'll give him a C. Just nothing too big. I think Derrick Rose, great story last season with what he kind of went through and how he's kind of bringing his career back. I'm always happy for the guy.
I think he had a 50-point game last season.
Love to see that. Great story for the NBA. Great storyline. It's really good for our business when that's happening.
Get people talking about it. We love that.
So. Yeah, we definitely love that. But we'll see. I never really like to rely on past success to kind of determine where your team's going to go, because once people start aging, it's kind of father time. He's undefeated. Tom Brady's the only one to ever beat him. So
yeah, maybe Brett Favre.
Brett Favre was pretty good too. But basketball-wise, your knees give out a lot faster than a quarterback's arm.
Yeah.
So that's
really, why impact protection in your shoe choice is
that is true.
LeBron.
We'll see how that works out for
LeBron.
Milwaukee.
You're 18 now, and he's
just stop plugging your shoes.
No, I mean, you wear a LeBron 16.
You are too much.
Unparalleled impact protection. You get those zoom units under your feet. You're gonna love it. Not to plug too many shoe reviews here, but if you guys do want to check those out, YouTube Cal and Jay, we do shoe reviews as well. As big basketball players. But anyway, on to our next team. We got Charlotte.
Losing Kemba.
I don't mind that, and I do like Terry Rozier a lot. I dare say I'm gonna go. This is pretty wild, but I'm gonna give them a B minus.
Oh, okay.
People are hating on their offseason for what I've heard, just talk around the league, but I actually kind of like their offseason of just quietly losing Kemba Walker, not a huge loss there, and signing Terry Rozier, who I honestly think is arguably an upgrade, especially going forward because Kemba's getting a little older and he's undersized, which undersized guards haven't had a history of aging that great.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm gonna give him a C plus, just slightly above average. I think it was a big upgrade going from Kemba to Rozier, but again, I'm never really that high on guards, as you say. I agree. The game's kind of played within 5 feet of the basket, and one thing I'll say is that there are other losses, like losing Jeremy Lamb. I don't really see that as a big deal. Watching his games,
he's awful, man.
He kind of reminds me of like a Josh Hart type, where like you watch him, he's decent, but then if you actually watch him, a lot of his games,
he just doesn't do it.
Doesn't do much. Kaminsky, you were a bigger fan of him than I was.
Him as a guy.
I think college he was great. I don't really see his game really translating in the NBA.
He's been a decent backup big. He's not really starting.
Yeah, he just. I've never been that high. I don't think they lost much. I think getting rid of Kemba kind of reset and
Yeah,
seeing
I like
seeing
that
what
a lot.
happens. I still don't see him as really a contender.
I mean, they're
at
still
all.
recovering from that offseason when they signed Nick Batum to near max. I mean, that's been haunting them for the last 4 seasons. They should have given Jeremy Lin that same deal. He was actually the catalyst. They gave credit to the wrong guy.
Knowing what you know now with the injuries, though.
Well, let's say that maybe it doesn't happen in Charlotte. Maybe Lin gets lucky and he doesn't.
I guess
have
you
those.
can't
They're
base
freak
deals
injuries.
on injuries. Yeah,
They're freak injuries, so it's like you can't see that coming. Maybe it wouldn't have happened in Charlotte, and Batum certainly wasn't the guy making that team a contender that it was that season, as we've seen since. They've won 30 games each year with the same exact team minus Lin. But anyway, so yeah, I give them like a B minus on this offseason. I like what they did. Didn't lose much, and they added Rozier.
yeah. C plus for me, but again,
Okay.
so
We've been pretty close on all our ratings. I guess, we talk
mean,
to each other a lot,
yeah.
so I wonder if we have a little group thing going on here. But that's okay because, we're both pretty knowledgeable about basketball, so it's not surprising that we're pretty dead on a lot of these takes.
yeah. I mean, our really only big difference so far has been Ben Simmons, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm pretty high on him.
yeah, it's just you know how I am.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who's next? Was it Miami?
Yeah,
was
Miami
next
Heat,
in the,
yep.
in the rankings.
Now,
I
this
think?
one's interesting. This is a rare one. We're going to be talking about a draft pick a lot. I really like Tyler Hero. He's a really good shooting guard, and I just really liked his game, what I've seen in the summer league and in college. I think he's going to project well to the NBA. It could be like a rich man's J.J. Redick. I really like him at the 13th pick. And I think he's going to fit in well with that team. And I obviously, Jimmy Butler's a great signing for them. Myers Leonard, I think, has great potential to be, take a step up with more minutes and more opportunities here in the Miami Heat system. And you can't ever doubt Pat Riley. He always seems to put together pretty decent teams. And I think Spoelstra's a good coach. So I'm going to give these guys an A- on their offseason. We rarely dip into the A's in the Eastern Conference, but I really like Miami Heat's offseason. And can't really knock any moves they made.
I think here's we finally differ. I'm gonna give him a B minus. I'm not quite as high as you are on Myers Leonard. I think he's honestly. I think we're gonna see kind of a DiVincenzo thing where he had an amazing game in the Portland series during the playoffs, but I just don't think we'll see that kind of production out of him. So I'm not really a huge fan of that signing. I think Dwayne Wade retiring, he didn't have a great season last year, so it's not really a big loss, but more like the way it works with the refs, I think it might lose some of their star power.
Well, with Jimmy Butler, they kind of have it
with
going,
Jimmy Butler, yeah. Jimmy Butler doesn't really need the refs, though. He's just got that fight in him.
Yeah, he doesn't rely on free throws really to make his game.
Yeah,
just a great...
I like that. And then obviously with Tyler Hero, great draft pick. With all the trade rumors going around the league, one thing that kind of stood out was that they were always saying Tyler Hero was not on the trade options. I think Miami knew that was going to be a good pick.
Yeah.
I know when the whole Russell Westbrook trade rumors were going around, they said they would not give up Tyler Hero, and I know that was
I love that they held pat on that Westbrook and Chris Paul stuff.
So maybe I'll give them B that they didn't fall for any of that stuff. But
honestly, I think I might even upgrade them to an A. I love their offseason. And I like getting rid of Hassan Whiteside because the guy just doesn't have it. He got paid and he stopped playing hard.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just going to give him a B because I don't think the Myers Leonard thing is that great, and I don't think Jimmy Butler's the guy to carry you to a championship.
Yeah, I like Jimmy Butler, though.
I like him. I think they made a lot of the right moves, but I just don't think they had the pieces to actually put into place a championship team.
So you're at a B, I'm between an A and an A minus.
You seem like you're more leaning towards an A. Why don't you just give him an A?
I'm just going to give him an A. Okay. All right, fans, I'll give him an A. That's rare in the Eastern Conference because a lot of these teams had bad off seasons. Washington. Not a big fan, I guess. I guess we're looking at the list here. I can't say I have Washington dialed into my memory. It's not really a team I follow too much, as they are bottom feeders in the East, which is not exactly the strongest conference. I like Rui Hachimura. He looked pretty good in the NBA Summer League. Nice long defender and pretty good, just solid wing for running the lane. And it looks like he has a little bit of playmaking game as well. We'll see how he develops.
I did like his game in the Summer League.
He looked pretty good.
It was interesting.
We'll see how he translates because it doesn't always translate to the NBA when the competition ramps up even higher. But I did like what I saw out of him in the Summer League. And as far as free agent additions, really very mundane additions. I guess they lost a couple. They lost Dwight Howard. Man, that's a tough offseason. I guess, I mean, they're kind of in a pickle here with the Wall contract. What are you going to do? They didn't trade Beal. There was some talk about him being looked at by other teams. Yeah, I'd probably give him like a D plus. I like Rui Hachimura D plus because, I mean, they're still kind of screwed from the Wall edition, the Wall contract.
Do you know if they got any notable draft picks in any of these trades? I don't think they did.
No.
I don't think. I mean, because it's really a time to reload. But yeah, I'd say I'd give him around a C minus. I think the Isaiah Thomas signing, I just don't really know what they were thinking there. He really he hasn't had it ever, really. Brad Stevens kind of hit him in there, and then once he left the Celtics, I know people say it was kind of the hip injury that took him down, but I don't really think it was that. Yeah, signing him, I mean, it's a good story for the league to watch if he scores 20 points a night, but it's going to be one of those kind of Phoenix Suns situations where you're putting up points, but who cares because you lost by 40.
Right.
Like, it's kind of like you're playing against their G League bench when you score 20. Like, what does it really mean? So, I'll give him a C minus. I think signing some of the things they did, it's just kind of they signed like the bottom feeders of the league.
Lakers trash.
Yeah, that's basically what they did. I don't really know what's going on there, but they've had a lot of at their front office kind of turnover going on with that whole situation.
They're a train wreck. I really don't know about Washington.
Yeah, I think their interim GM just actually became the official GM, but with the moves he was making as interim GM,
You got to question it.
You got to question it. But I'll give him a D plus. They don't get an average.
Yeah, I had them at a D plus, and I think they probably have the worst looking future of all teams in the league.
Yeah, definitely.
Due to the Wall contract.
Maybe we will see a Seattle team again. Maybe we'll
I think that's the team I'd probably move. Washington needs to go. Atlanta. I actually kind of liked a few of their moves. I really like the drafting of DeAndre Hunter. He wasn't necessarily a consensus top 4 pick, but I love the pick at number 4. I was kind of hoping the Pelicans might get a shot at him, but I really like that we turned that into Jackson Hayes and a couple other picks. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, I believe, was out of that trade. So I really like DeAndre Hunter. Not as big on Cam Reddish, but he was available, and he was high going into college until his performance took him down a notch. And I like Jabari Parker. I think he's a decent player. So I'd probably give them like a B minus for some good draft picks and not really making any major blunders. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give them a C. I mean, not really any notable signings. People like Alan Crabb, Evan Turner. I mean, just solid guys, but they didn't really do much for me. I still don't see them really kind of coming out like maybe. If they just had an amazing year, they could get the 8th seed in the East, which they won't do.
I doubt it.
That'd be like if they Trae Young. Actually, I've been watching some of his stuff that he's been doing this summer. He's been looking good, but again, he's not playing against NBA competition.
No, yeah.
I think he kind of cooled it on the trying to look cool and pulling up from half court.
Thank goodness, because
he was doing awful. I think he realized, I need to actually be good to stay in this league. And he kind of started, his handle's really good.
He has a great handle, one of the best in the game.
Yeah, definitely a great handle. I think people kind of wrote him off after the start of the season, but I mean, and then they didn't once he was kind of in the Rookie of the Year conversation.
Yeah, but when you're a garbage team and everyone's taking the night off.
Yeah, exactly. Sides, it's kind of, again, the Phoenix Suns scenario.
Yeah, it's a Phoenix Suns, Devin Booker
scenario. But I've been watching him kind of like I know it's kind of dumb to watch Rico Hines stuff and judge a player's talent off that.
Rico Hines is telling.
Yeah, it's definitely telling, and I think we're going to see a pretty big. I don't think we're going to see that kind of sophomore slump for him because he's kind of still. I think he's trajecting upwards.
He has a high floor, low ceiling.
Yeah,
I think he's at worst, a backup point guard in the league.
Yeah, definitely backup point guard at worst. But I think he's starting point guard. I'm actually he's kind of grown on me. I like maybe I'll live to regret these words, but
I think he's probably a backup point guard for his full career.
If he was on a solid team, backup point guard, but on a bad team, I can see him starting. I mean, he kind of just does what you need him to do as a guard. He gets the ball down the floor, can pull up from 3.
He's kind of this
NBA what you need.
He's a good playmaker, a nice passer, and has a great handle.
And I mean, any guard playing defense nowadays, it's like they're gonna call you a foul if you even breathe on someone.
That's
So
true.
like,
So you can get by a lot of guys.
yeah, like you're gonna have to have like Lonzo Ball level defense to actually make an impact
True.
as a guard on defense. So I mean, him being little,
And
it's
Pelicans
kind of,
fans, if you haven't seen a lot of Lonzo, you are going to love his defense.
you are gonna be excited. It's unbelievable. If you see him switch onto a big,
Oh, yeah.
they freak out. They don't know what to do
I
because he's got
absolutely
such
love
quick
Lonzo.
hands.
He's incredible.
I really kind of, like from young to old, seeing kind of the transition. I think he's kind of gonna take up that Iguodala role as like
Lonzo?
kind of best hands in the league on defense.
Yeah, he could be the next Iguodala, but even a better playmaker.
Iguodala is just so sharp on defense, though. It's just I'm hoping. I think Zoe has it in him,
I think he's shown flashes of being Iguodala.
but Iguodala has just done it for years. You can't really take that away from
You
him.
can't. He won an MVP for stopping LeBron, and once Lonzo does that, we'll put him at the same level.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited to see how that plays out with the Lakers versus Pelicans games. But we're talking about Atlanta here.
We love the NBA guys, as you can tell.
You know,
Sorry for
it's always hard to not go back to the Pelicans. We're really excited for this
Yeah.
season. Just Cal and Jay Pelicans Talk Show Radio, but.
We're gonna probably break this pod up into 2 pods just because of the length that we're going here.
Yeah, so we'll do the last 3 teams of the East. We'll let you guys off a little early.
Yeah, and we're gonna be coming right back.
We'll be coming right back with the other one. We'll probably release that one next Sunday.
Yeah, but
Just to kind of keep you guys getting that weekly content that you guys have been craving. So just keep on subscribing, keep on smashing that like button. We'll get you these last 3 teams, then we'll get you on out of here.
yeah. So we got Chicago, the Bulls. Another quiet offseason. A couple of these Eastern Conference teams that aren't major free agent destinations kind of struck out on the big ones and just kind of signed role players and didn't lose much. Another team here, probably give them a C-. I like Kobe White as the 7th pick. I think they were in need of a new guard, and I like that pick a lot. Excuse me, my voice is kind of going. This pod's been a while. I'm out of shape on speaking. But I really like Kobe White. I think he's got a good future in the league. Great first step, good playmaker, and nice size for guard too. So I like his addition. But overall, really didn't sign anybody. Thad Young, I guess, is probably their most highly notable addition, and he's decent, pretty solid big. But I can't say I love their offseason, and they lost Robin Lopez. So probably a C- there for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Bulls around a C. I think it's one of those teams just not really even worth talking about their offseason because what are they going to be doing next year? Just not really impressed with what they've been doing recently. I think ever since kind of losing Derrick Rose, they've kind of just been out of any kind of conversation of being a solid team. And it's not even really like they're rebuilding that well. It's not like they have really done that much since. So just to see that, I think Cal, you pretty much summed it up. I think losing Lopez, not really a big deal. I think Brooks obviously the better of the two.
He is, but Robin's a good backup.
Robin's a good backup, but it's not like the Bulls were doing anything anyway. So they're kind of one of those teams that kind of just didn't really have to do anything. They've already accepted their fate.
They have accepted their fate. I like that. All right, well, moving on to Cleveland. Another team which I can't say I'm super impressed by their additions. They didn't add anybody, and
I'm kind of a Darius Garland fan. Actually.
You like Garland? I really hated that draft pick, especially at 5.
I don't hate it.
I think he's a chucker who's undersized, who hasn't shown to be high efficiency. I absolutely hated their offseason. I'm going to give them an F. I really didn't like their offseason. And they lost David Nwaba, who I honestly have over Darius
You're
Garland.
giving them an F because they're already awful, though. If this was another team, this is literally nothing happened, and you're giving them an F.
Yeah, I hate Darius Garland at number 5.
Okay, it's that much. There's
a lot of talent on the board. They could have had Jackson Hayes, for example. They could have had a lot of good draft picks, and they chose Darius Garland, who I just, especially with they already have Colin Sexton, who's literally the same player but maybe a little better. What are you doing drafting Garland? I hate
definitely a bad draft pick. I'm not really that big of a hater though. I'm gonna give him a C. I think I'm really happy they didn't draft Jackson Hayes because then we got him.
That's great for us. In their perspective.
In their perspective, I mean they're going to be awful anyways. I'm
not loving that argument. They're going to be awful, so just draft all.
No. I don't think it's an awful draft pick. I'm saying they literally have no assets to trade. They can't really do anything.
So you like Garland?
I'm saying if I grade them based on if they put me in as the GM, what could I do with what they have? That's what I mean. They're a bad team. They didn't really have much to do. And I think maybe they thought if they picked up Garland, they could trade him. So it's kind of the thing, like, say you have the second pick, and the best players are all centers, but you already have a great center, it still makes sense to pick the great center, and then if you think he has high upside, and you can trade him down the road.
Okay.
And I think Garland maybe can get them that trade value that they're looking for. That's why I get you're saying they already have the pieces, but they're just trying to get trade assets right now. They don't really have much. I don't think a Jackson Hayes would be that big for them. You're kind of doing the kind of go for talent now.
All right.
I'm saying Garland might develop, and then we could trade him in the future. It's kind of one of those things where if I was the GM, that's really how I'm rating it, and it's kind of like LeBron kind of just ditched town and just destroyed that whole team, which is kind of what he's going to do with the Lakers.
Same exact thing. They've lost 8 draft picks.
So I can't really blame. I can't blame the Cavs. I'm not going to give them an F. I know you hate that they drafted someone that they didn't need, but I'm okay. If they were drafting him for talent and they think that's actually going to help them win, yes, F,
Okay.
Definitely F. But if they're just picking up trade assets, I really think not really an awful season. I mean, it's just hard to get people to sign with Cleveland. You couldn't really get any free agents to come there because they know that this team's just a tanking team, and no one who's a valuable free agent wants to come and actually join a team like that. No one wants that. I mean, you'd have to be pretty bad and wanting your shot to come there to do anything, and no one wants to be on a tanky team. It's the same reason the Suns can't really get any big signings. I'm gonna get okay. I'll give him a C- if that'll make you feel a little better.
I like your arguments, but that's generous.
Yeah, definitely. I don't mean to say if it's a bad team, just do whatever. I'm saying if you have nothing to trade with, you might as well start trying to build up some assets.
Well, they do have Kevin Love as an asset too, so he could be. Maybe the Warriors could. Well, then you're gonna end up with D'Angelo Russell. So.
Yeah, definitely.
They're in a tough spot.
It's more the Warriors are tough. So Kevin Love could pretty much get traded anywhere. He's a solid player. Hasn't really shown a lot of injury problems. I mean, he's been through it like everyone else, but I think he's a valuable piece. I saw him live actually the Christmas game 2 years ago.
That was one of the best live performances I've ever seen.
It was insane. That guy could shoot. I would put my reputation on it. Sign that guy.
He's great. Yeah,
definitely great. I think people kind of don't really give him any credit. They always say when people say, "Oh, LeBron's Cleveland champions," people say, "What about Kyrie?" And I say, "What about Kevin Love?" We'll see how that plays out. But the last one we got is the Knicks, right?
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us all the way, guys. Sorry we had so many teams and so much to talk about, but it's 30 teams, lots to talk about.
Yeah, and you guys know this summer's just been absolutely crazy, so there's a lot to deal with.
When we get to the West, it might get even more wild, so stay tuned.
It's going to be wild.
Make sure you check in again next week when we drop that pod.
Definitely check in next week, and just an update, we are actually extending the, I don't think if Cal knows this yet, we're extending his weight loss deal. You guys get this till the end of next week's podcast actually to hit 400,000 likes, and
I thought it's 40,000. We're never
40,000. Sorry,
we're never gonna hit 400.
Not yet, but someday.
Yeah, but maybe in the future. But right now, let's keep it at 40.
But let's keep it at 40,000. We really want to actually give him the chance to lose the weight. His girlfriend's really cheering that on too. So you guys just keep smashing that like button. We'll get him to drop this weight.
I will do it if we get there. Doesn't look.
We're extending it a week. It's more. I think. What would you say to actually adding a deal just to subscribers? Because people have kind of been liking our multiple videos in chunks.
Yeah.
What about if we what if you say we hit
1,000 new subscribers?
1,000 new subscribers. Would you lose the 10 pounds?
I will also do it for that.
Okay, and we'll get you on video. We'll get you on video weighing in.
Okay, it's
gonna be awesome. You're gonna lose the weight. You'll have a month to lose the weight.
We'll put the video on our Twitter feed if you guys follow us there. It's Cal and Jay on Twitter.
Yeah, Cal and Jay on Twitter. We'll
put the video up there.
We'll be putting videos on there. Just if we hit 1,000 new subscribers, he's gonna lose the weight. So just hit that subscribe button. Come on, stick with us, and
thank you so much for all the support as well.
Thank you for all the support. Sorry, this podcast's been a little long, but we're gonna finish it out right with New York Knicks.
All right, New York Knicks. Okay, this is a wild one because I did not love the what am I talking about? I did not love the drafting of what's the guy's name? I'm blanking now that
you're thinking of Julius Randle.
RJ Barrett. I absolutely hated the draft pick. I think he's going to be a major bust. He's a high-volume chucker that really doesn't have a lot of playmaking or defensive potential. I just don't see it. So I hated that draft pick. I think that's going to take him down a few notches for me. I like Julius Randle's game a lot. I'm not sure how the fit is there. He was good for us last year.
Would have loved him re-signing on the Pelicans.
I would love re-signing
because he's got good contracts.
Yeah,
'cause people just don't
they
pay
sleep
that,
on
man.
him. I don't know why he doesn't get more money because he's a really good player. The great athlete, really plays hard.
I mean, we have Zion now, but I think for like a developed player, it would have been nice having.
Yeah, right now at this point of his career, he's better than Zion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of disrespectful to say Julius isn't better than Zion. And Zion hasn't played a game in the NBA.
And there's been comparisons like as if comparing Zion to Julius Randle is an insult, and I think that's a compliment.
Yeah.
If he reaches Julius Randle, I'll be very happy with the draft pick. That's how high I am on Julius Randle. I love Julius Randle's game.
Yeah.
But overall, their offseason, I don't think RJ Barrett's going to be the guy. I don't love losing Kristaps Porzingis. I know that's last season, but I'm still kind of including that here.
And you guys might not be too high on Julius Randle, but I'm telling you, if you see how he worked with Lonzo Ball, really, it was a great chemistry, and you're going to miss that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Zion can do the same thing almost.
It's going to be exciting. I'm really excited for the Pelicans. But
anyway, but overall, I'm going to give their offseason. I don't really love Elfrid Payton. Overall, their offseason was kind of mundane. Just probably give them like a C-. I like Julius Randle, but the rest of their moves I did not like.
Yeah, definitely with you there, but I'm actually going to give the Knicks an F. It's my only F of the day.
Wow.
I
you don't
really,
like Julius Randle at all? That signing? I think that's
I just don't know what they were thinking, saying, no, we're not actually going to sign Kevin Durant to the 5-year. He's not worth the money. Like, no one wanted to go there. They cleared up all this cap space for what?
I don't think they could have got him at 5 years, right?
Oh, no, they could have done it. They just didn't want to package it with Kyrie.
Would it have to be a signing fee or something?
I mean, it might have had to been something like that, but they could have made it happen. But they said they actually weren't willing to do it.
Oh, wow.
Which is what's funny, and they put that out in the media. So, like, I don't know what they were thinking. I think signing RJ Barrett, really hoping the guy does well. I never cheer against a player. I'm always happy to see people get contracts, but he seems kind of like it's not really going to work out. It's one of those, he had a good stint in high school.
High school, yeah.
And then college, you
Kinda
say, well, maybe he had a bad year.
Bit of a D'Angelo Russell type.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. Again, really hoping the guy does well, never rooting against someone unless they did something wrong to me.
No, it's nothing personal. I'm just giving my take on what.
No. Definitely a bad pick. But well, that's why they're getting an F from me. They kind of just signed a bunch of bench players. I don't really know what they're at the start of last seasons, everyone was saying, oh, these guys are going to the Knicks, like they're Knicks
struck on every single
Knicks might get Kawhi, like all this stuff was going on, and you're thinking, oh, they might do it. I mean, again, it's not their fault they didn't get the number 1 pick. I'm not going to hold it against them for not getting Zion. I do think it's stupid that they tanked the whole season to get RJ Barrett. Like, that's what you go through that whole season with. And it just, I don't really see the point of tanking a whole year for RJ Barrett. It kind of just kills it for the fan base. They kind of really did a number to New York. But again, Brooklyn's New York's team now. So
that's right, they took it over.
Knicks kind of gave that one up. But yeah, they're going to get an F from me. I don't know are they going to just tank again this year? What are they doing here? They're going to get an F from me. Only F of the day. But
so really, I think the best off seasons, if we just want to, we had different ones, so it's not really worth recapping, I guess. But I know I really like Miami's offseason. I like Milwaukee's was pretty decent. And
obviously, I'm a little higher on Brooklyn than you.
Yeah, but overall, we were pretty much in sync on most of our takes. Not a lot of good action going on in the East. We're going to be following up with the West. There's a lot.
West is going to definitely be exciting.
The grades are much higher in the West, that's for sure. Not really too many great moves in the East next year, but I think they're still going to have some good playoff contenders. I think Boston and Milwaukee are going to be great teams that could challenge the Western Conference teams. I mean, the East won it last year. So I think that, the conference isn't necessarily weak. The bottom 10 teams are really weak. But I think that the top of the East is still pretty strong with Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Boston.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because last year the East was definitely the stronger conference. So,
yeah, they were.
This year I'm not so sure.
East has been stronger the past few years.
Yeah,
with the exception of the Warriors, those 2 years that they won.
Well, it's obviously been the Warriors were the strongest team in the league.
The next 4 or 5 was the East. The East has been stronger the past.
East has always been strong, but or at least in these past couple of years. But
they're top heavy. The top 5 teams of the East have always been historically strong. But anyway, guys, thanks for sticking with us on that. We'll be coming up the West if you guys want to hear our takes on those. It's been a great podcast today. Thanks so much for sticking with us. Hopefully we get the subscribers, because I do want to lose the weight. Trying to get in shape for you guys. And
we need Cal healthy to keep this pod going. So you guys just
for my heart, for the sake of my heart, we need to get my arteries cleared out and maybe lose 10 pounds. Otherwise, this pod might have a pretty limited shelf life. Let's hope not.
Oh, Cal.
All right.
Oh, and also be sure to check out Cal's shoe reviews, and we'll see really if those KDs and those LeBrons are quite what they say they are.
Yeah, stay tuned to our YouTube channel, Cal and Jay there too.
We'll be putting a lot of content out there for you guys. I know you guys have been asking when's this Giannis shoe review, but we'll see if Cal has kind of been hesitant to order them, I think.
No, I borrowed a pair from my friend at the gym. I wore them one day, so I'm not going to purchase those, so I don't even know if I'll have an official shoe review, because I'm not going to have great footage. But I tell you, I wore those shoes, not impressed, and I think Giannis is going to pay for it next season. But anyway, thanks guys. Stay tuned for the next video next week, next Sunday, any given Sunday with Cal and Jay. Thanks so much. Peace.